Right, Ledges. Can everybody hear me? And what chart can you see? Good evening, everybody. Hope you're all good. Making the most of these rallies. Working? Yes. Okay. Give me a second. Just sorting one or two things out. Should be ready. Bear with me. Okay. So let's get the necessities out of the way with. And let's see what the plans for this week is. I am going to be looking at the dollar index. A few questions on the dollar index I was asked. Today we'll have Trader Megas on. He'll be talking about market profile. So once I've done my bit, about 35 minutes time, we'll bring him on. Okay. So let's get the necessity out of the way with. Share the video if you can. Like the video. Let's go. So welcome back again for another Monday evening Bitcoin for Ledges weekly live stream. Before we start, as always, we need to acknowledge our sponsors. It's because of them we can bring you this content every week for free. Of course, our sponsor is Delta Exchange. So if you like what you see, you can join me by signing up to Delta. Signing up to Delta using the link in the description, and by using that unique TraderSZ link, you will get access to a number of very healthy deposit bonuses for new users. Finally, as ever, nothing in this stream constitutes financial advice in any way. Trading crypto comes with a high risk element, and you should always consult with a financial professional before embarking on any activity of this kind. Right, let's get started. You gotta get that out of the way with protect ourselves. Okay, so let's start with Bitcoin. What's going on? So if you remember, we had one on Thursday actually, but we had an extra one last week, and what we were speaking about. So let's recap quickly, okay? So if we recap, I was speaking about this being a key level here, okay, the January's high. And once we clear January's high, then the next key level, the magnet for price would be, minimum here, I'd say, because it's a spike low, but it's going to be this level here, okay? So I'm just taking it level to level. Bullish, bearish, despite what I tweet about sometimes. Ignore, if it triggers, ignore it. I am playing what the market is telling me. Bigger, bullish or bearish, okay? And it was clear, once he had gone above here, that was it. Game over for bears, at least short term, and towards here. Now, what's going to happen here? Okay, you got to understand, bigger picture. I posted a chart, right, and I said this could still be a lower high. Even if you are bullish or bearish, you got to look at it from the perspective of, bigger picture. We got to be open to it. There's no reason why we can't do something like this, and there's no reason why we can't do something like this. Okay, it could go up, could go down. Hence why, at the moment, I'm finding it easy level to level. It's one thing saying, okay, once that range lows, okay, it goes to range highs, okay? But once it's cleared that, then this is resistance then. Once it's cleared that, then it's obvious that this is going to be the target. So it's clear. We're more or less right near there. I wouldn't want to be chasing it right at resistance right now, okay? So what do we do in that case? Okay, I still think it pushes a bit higher, personally. So if we go down to last week's setups, this is just a bigger time frame chart, okay? We'll go to the actual chart we use. So I'm going to switch between two charts. One is above January's high. It's clear that this is going to be more or less the target. This is the minimum, okay? If I was long, I would be taking off some here. This is asking for a bit extra, okay? You don't need to, hold it to the tick. You caught a lot of good move here. And for those asking, I will go through the intraday trigger points for this as well. So it'll be a hindsight, obviously, but if you're paying attention, you would have got it. If not, we'll go over it anyway. Illuminati. Okay, so that's gonna be the target there. Oh, more or less. If it's more or less, my target would have been hit already. More or less. Anything else is bonus. I like to take off a bit early, and I'm gonna go over why I'm thinking that as well. I'm looking at FX Mage as well. Now I'm not saying the dollar has to be correlated, but there usually is a correlation there, and I'm gonna go over when I believe correlations work and when I believe they don't work. Okay, I don't know if there's gonna be correction. If you're gonna ask me, I don't know. All I can do is I'm gonna plan, and I'm gonna mark my trigger points out, And if it gives me my trigger long or short, it doesn't matter. Okay, it could be, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Don't overburden yourself with what if this, that, the other. Just have a plan. You know exactly where you're gonna deal at, and you know exactly what you need to look for a trigger, and that's it. You don't need to worry about anything else. Okay, so going back to this chart, I said this is a possible resistance level. We might as well just stick to the same chart. Bear with me, might as well just stick to the same. I lost some of my levels here, but it doesn't matter. So we were at here last week. If you remember the 2nd of August, I spoke about this long scenario here. Do you remember this initially? And I said, if it comes into here, we got the swing failure here. It pushed up, back up. Okay, and this was resistance. And I said, okay, I don't know what happens here. If you got a small position on, that's fine. Majority of mine would have gone off here because this is big resistance. And then I said, if it clears this level, I'll get back in again. As you can see, it cleared that level again. So let's go over trigger plans. Okay, what would have been the triggers? It's going to be hindsight before we go into the next plans. I think it's important to go over that. So using this chart, this was a resistance area I had marked out, this blue box here. And this was more or less my main target for price. Okay, after that, I said, I don't know what's going to happen. It depends. I DCA sometimes into when it's swing trading. If it's scalping, no. Swing trading, yeah, I usually average in. But it varies on the position. So, one was I gave a scenario where, based on invalidation, if I took a short here, I got a clear invalidation. This is just based on invalidation. That doesn't mean it's a proper setup. It's just invalidation. And if it got back above this blue box, I'd look to cut it. Okay, whether you took that or not, it doesn't matter. But that was based on that. If you were bullish, you wouldn't have taken this. Okay, with me, I didn't know what's going to go on. I had a small short position here. I ended up cutting it. Once it gave me this sort of formation here, I started breaking up. I said, fuck this, it's shit. So then it flipped long. Okay, so you want to be paying attention to this high. So if you go to the weekly now, I'm going to flip back to the old chart now in a second. Where are we at now? We've taken that previous high. So we're going to mark out our key levels now. So this is where the range comes in. So we're going to go back to this key level and we're going to mark out the overlapping level. So I do apologize for switching. We're not going to switch anymore. I just wanted to show you that because we used that on the previous chart. So there's over 480 of you here. You can only get, let's say, to 100 likes. Get the YouTube algo going. So put this flag away. Let's mark this out again. So what's the high that's capping the market? Well, not the high, previous high. What's this level here? So that level here is more or less using that to tag that market. So what we're going to do now is we're going to mark out previous week's high. So why previous week's high? Previous week's high will be used for a range play. The previous week's range. Okay. So let's mark that out. It's going to be an important key level for us. So let's mark that out in this color here. Previous week's high. We'll do that in green. We'll do that in blue actually. Okay. That's previous week's high. Remember that. And this is going to be previous week's low. Okay. We don't need it, but we're just going to mark it out anyway. So going down to the daily now. We've got a Monday's range being set. So down candle pushing the market up. So anything below that could be considered as a range play. And if I was to short it, what would be the objective? It would be this level here. It could go deeper here, but this would be the main target here because this was previous SR capping the market and January's high as we spoke about before. So if you go back to the left of the chart, you can see how powerful January's high was. Resistance, obviously that was the initial high. Support, resistance, resistance. You can see the levels of its tagged. And then we'll see, does it pull, if it comes here, does it pull back deeper? Does it push up higher? I don't know. But we're going to get onto that in a minute now. So we're just building a case for it now. So we've got that there. And I'm going to mark out this level as well as it has tagged the minimal, which is here. There. And we're going to do that lighter color so it doesn't get in the way. So just do that as a dotted line. Okay. So I did forget to go for the trigger plan. So the trigger plan for this would have been the same as here. So what you got is a minimum touch of a key level. So even if it doesn't come here, it doesn't necessarily have to fill this in. These thin moves here, when we've already been traded towards here, okay, they don't matter to me as much. I spoke about this in a previous session a couple of months ago, okay? This thin movement here is already been traded towards here, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't necessarily have to be filled in. And thin moves can be filled in later on. It comes into here, it rallies off, okay? So in future, if you want to let it set up, okay, it rallies off. Now what happens here? So if we split this apart, okay, what we've got here is, so this is the 6th. We've got the Monday's high here. Let me just double check. No. I'm keep getting confused with the days. So we've got this here. We've got a daily high here. So as we can see, Swing failed previous day's low. This is the consolidation. Now at this point, is it going to pull back lower or not? You don't know, but it's the consolidation. So the buying happened here. Tag that level. A royal impulse move down, took out previous day's low, reclaim this daily level, and that's your trigger. Cut on a clean break below that, where you're targeting. The objective remains towards here ultimately, but we've got this target here first and foremost. Let's go with conservative target, last week's high. Let's go with conservative target, okay? This is just bonus. So that would be your trigger. Why? The bias has been set. As soon as January's high is broken, you're looking for longs, okay? Unless we reclaim back below, your bias is long. Unless you look for short-term scalps, that's different. But more directionally, you're looking for longs until proven otherwise. Is that clear? So that would have been your trigger. Swing failure into this. That level has tagged January's high. Let's go. Okay, that's done now. What do we do now is the question. Well, we're holding above last week's high. So that's going to be an important level for us. Now this, I'm not going to chase this, okay? I think a daily range has been fulfilled. So what I'm going to be waiting for is, if I wanted to go up, I actually want to pull back first. So I'm going to mark out this level here. So we're going to have this level marked out. It's a key level. Whether it comes back deeper or not, I don't know. So we've got a range set here. Previous week's high. The objective is going to be here. So if it comes back down, what is the sign of a deviation? Any movement below here would be considered as a deviation. Okay? If it comes back below a range level or a resistance level, if it's still going to go up, it should be short-lived, right? I don't know how deep it's going to go, but I'll wait. Prove to me it's going to deviate back above, just like here. See this here? So you got, I mean, this is a smaller version of that example. Okay? And once it reclaims back above there, that's going to be my trigger, invalidation. Okay, short term, I'll go for this as the target, and then target there, and I'm done. Is that clear for everybody? Does that make sense? So the bias remains. This is still the objective to be reached. Okay, got to be cautious here now. I think the main move has been played out. You got to be cautious here. But if it's still going to go, this sort of formation is what I want to see. Everybody clear with that? Okay, that should be straightforward now. Okay. So yeah, that's about it. Now, the next setup, okay. What happens here? What if this is the the high of the week, okay? And it starts pulling back by now. I don't know, and I don't have a clue. But what I do know is this last week's high is gonna be a key pivot for us to hinge the trade off of. So okay, I'm not gonna blindly short this. This is a very strong market right now. Okay, this is a very, very strong market. I'm not gonna blindly short this. If I do short it, it's gonna be scalps unless proven otherwise. Okay, and this is why I gotta be careful here. It just I am going to be careful here. With the dollar, I'm going to speak about the dollar index in a second. So let me get onto the dollar index after this, and then I'll do Ethereum and explain my point why I'm being careful. Okay. So what if now, if usually, right, if it does healthy pullback, so if a market goes up like this, it's like a nice bullish. If a market starts speeding up really quick, that's we got to be careful of. So that's why if it does this sort of pullback here and then goes up, I think that's more bullish than just going up straight from here. Okay, so if it doesn't give me that, I'm gonna be careful. So I'm still gonna watch what we've got. But so what we're gonna do is we're gonna mark our Monday's range. So for example's sake, we've got this KSR level here. We're gonna give this make a line here so it stands out. So go back to the left. We've got that level there. As you can see, we've taken out some stops at this swing high, and as you can see, that's holding the market. So we've got two ranges to work with. This consolidation is going to be pivotal going forward now, in my opinion. So scenario one is, let's go to the easy peasy scenario, okay? For a possible short. So if we break this down, this is going to be a possible Monday's range. That's a Monday's low, Monday's high. And if it pushes up immediately here, so consolidation. So this is the easy scenario before I go on to the harder ones. If it rallies up into here and then breaks back below, this is the easy one, okay? I know it means you're missing out on stuff. And that would be a shorting opportunity for me. And that would only be back to the range lows, okay? And that would be back towards first target there. That's a clear-cut trigger point, okay? Cut out a clean break above here because we shouldn't go back above here. So what we got here is we got this as a range and this is a separate range, okay? So we want to stay within this range, okay? So if it gives that trigger, there's other triggers as well. I'm going on to the easy ones first, okay? If this is the consolidation that pushed it up, that then becomes a deviation, break and hold below, clear target price, target 1, and then target 2, low of the week, which will be Monday's low. Is that clear for everybody? I'm just going on with the easy targets for now. Yep. So that's the shortest scenario, and that is just playing the range. We're just playing the range here. Extended targets will then be, well, if it gets back below here, I mean, I'd be careful here because this will be a key support area to watch, okay? But what would happen is if this is resistance, and this is more of scalps, okay? So the separate trade, say if I got out here, for example's sake, and I still think it could push towards here, okay, which is, you know, key SR level anyway, then what I would then do is wait for it to get back below January's high, and then play it from a day trade. Target 1, and then target 2, this low here, okay? And then we'll see what happens here, because this is still strong support area here. We'll see if does it do this or not. We'll get to that then. So what I'm doing is just playing level to level. That's all I'm doing, okay? So that's about it for Bitcoin for now. And then obviously, the further upside scenario would be, well, if it does clear this, I'm going to be a bit cautious. I don't think it does, but whether what I think or what the market does are two separate things. So what we're going to do is go back to the left of the chart. What does it look like? So initially goes up, comes back down, consolidates. Once it holds, trigger point up. Okay, let's do the same thing now. Easy peasy trigger would be if it comes up into here, ideally consolidate for a bit and then get back above. And that's my long invalidation. Target 1. And we'll see if we got legs there, because this is a huge level here, okay? This SR. That would be my first target. And then if we do go fucking mad, then that, okay? But we could do something like this here, where ranged bound here, and then later on, once it cleared that, you use that. But for now, that's going to be my objective. Is that clear? So I'm going to be careful here now. We are at clear resistance. Yep. Okay. And that's about it. That's about it. So just to summarize on Bitcoin, before I quickly go into the dollar index and then do Ethereum, is my main range levels are, I'm dealing within above January's high to here. That's where we're trading within. Range bound, can play both sides. The breakout play is above here. That would mean towards there. If the breakdown play would be, well, I'll be cautious on the swing shorts. But if it does come back below here, if it comes back below this is a previous range high, and does something like this, and I'll show an example of this as well, and that's going to be a swing short for me. And I'm probably going to play it back down towards here. Because that then becomes a deviation, okay? That then becomes a deviation at this point, okay? At this point, that's confirmed for me. See this blue box here? This was the supply deviation. Once it gets back below here, that was it. So if it gets back below there, before that, I'm just playing a level to level. At that point, that will be my swing, and I believe we come towards here, around 35k, and then towards here possibly. If it's gonna come really low below here, there's no reason why we can't take out these lows. I personally think if we are to come back below here, then that's dangerous. If we are to come back below here, then that's most likely gonna nuke towards these lows here, in my opinion. Okay, so we've got to hold more or less 39.8 to 40k level. That's gonna cap the downside. Extreme end of the scenario. This has to cap the downside. Otherwise, that's a deviation confirmed. And what does that look like? Go back to your left of the chart. It looks like here, doesn't it? Sort of. We got resistance. And once it got back below here, it was game over then, really, wasn't it? Right? I mean, game over then and then come back up. So I think that would happen. If it gets back below here, I think that's when we're probably going to head lower. And I think we're probably going to take out these levels. I'll still play level to level in case I'm wrong. I'll just go for high probability objectives, which would be this. Target 1, target 2, and then these lows here. And then we'll talk about the others later on. I'll post on Twitter. Is that clear for everybody? Okay, so let me bring in the dollar index now. Okay. And I'm going to give an example as where with the dollar index, when it ranges, okay, we'll find it. Markets that are correlated usually can do their own thing. Okay, what do I mean by that? So let me. What am I typing CFD for? My head's not there today. So over a clean chart. Yeah, let's just do this. So what we've got here is, have I drawn the yearly chart? Let me just make sure I've drawn the yearly chart. Okay, let's draw everything again. Okay, let's do it again. So my key level for this is, okay, and this is why I'm still bullish dollar index, okay. And if we do get risk off, I'm not saying we are going to get risk off. I mean, equities are very, very bullish. But when the dollar takes off, we're going to be start paying attention. It's when the dollar index trends, that's when you pay attention. When it's range bound, it's not as important. There's over 600 of you and you can't get 200 likes. Come on, push the likes up. In the meantime, and it's important. This is why with FX, I'm quite bearish with the FX major as well. So if you look at this, right, key level for this yearly level here, okay. And bigger picture, I'm very bearish the dollar index. I'm very bearish. I think it goes lower, but short term, I think it has got legs, room to push up further. Let's go to the quarterly. Okay, not much there. Monthly, it's starting to turn now. See that there? It's starting to push up. I personally think we're pushing towards here, and then probably head lower. The two key levels I'm watching are one's here, and one's there. I was hoping if Bitcoin could drop right, time the low with Bitcoin. If it does, okay, with dollar index top, because then I think the correlation goes. But back to my point of correlation. See, this was in a range. Okay, so if I bring back a Bitcoin chart, actually I don't need to. When the dollar index is in consolidation like this, so when it's trending right, I think the other asset classes will start being affected. Okay, when it's range bound like that, this is more or less doing nothing really. It's just range, right? So when markets in a range, the other markets that are correlated to it can usually hold, do their own thing, because it's not really being affected by the dollar index. This is when all the markets start dropping or being affected, those that are correlated. This is where it pauses and the other markets. So trending, when the dollar index trends, usually I find, I'm talking about from FX background. I trade FX mainly. I'm not even a crypto trader mainly. I'm actually FX trader. This is when the majors start trending. And I believe they're ready to trend now. Now the question is, how does that affect Bitcoin? You gotta keep in mind, Bitcoin is at key resistance right now. So I mean, as you can see, this is a massive level. Nobody can deny this is a key resistance. So it'll be interesting to see how Bitcoin reacts now that I believe dollar index is about to trend. Okay, so I'll quickly go over my targets for dollar index, then we'll do Ethereum. So basic trend line as well. If you want to throw in a basic trend line, we've got this here. Okay. I don't know, something like this. The reason why I chose that is because see this here, resistance, it deviates, it finds support, gets back above, and it gets back above it. If it wasn't gonna come low, why is it? If it was gonna go high, why is it come back above it? So that's a deviation. Then that's a confirmed deviation. We took out this low here, and more probability wise we should start trending up towards here, and then there, and then we'll see what happens there. I think that's a big sell-off. Okay, but whether it's a sell-off or not, these two are going to be the main targets for price. Okay, is that clear? So this is why I'm being cautious now, because I think dollar index goes into trend mode, and when we go into trend mode, you can still see the correlation is still there. Maybe the correlation is broken when the dollar index consolidates. When the dollar index consolidates, we do. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? Is everybody clear? What the fuck are you on about, Dan? Okay. Everybody clear with that? Okay, I think so. Right, that's more or less it. So that's why I'm being cautious here. This is a strong region. I think should be cautious on, and ideally we would want to pull back first. If it rips up from here, usually that's like a topping sign for me. It reminds me of this. So see this here, watch this. So we got yeah, I'll give you a fractal example of this. Resistance, so let's call that 0.1. Resistance 0.1. Consolidation 0.2. Consolidation 0.2. One more rip up, and then once it deviates back below, then it pulls back. So if it rips up from here and consolidates and then gets back below, that would be pretty bearish for me. Not bearish, but it would be a move towards range lows. Target 1. Okay. And let's call this our range low. So let's simplify it down actually. Bear with me. So sometimes it's easier to do a simplified version of this. Okay. So we'll just draw a range high. Okay. And I'll draw this as my range low. Okay. So resistance around here, like I showed you guys, pushes up. If it gets back into towards there, so if it comes back from here now, then that's a bullish plan. Okay, but if it does this and then comes back down, then most likely we coming towards here's target 1 and probably run low of the week. Now, if the dollar index is breaking up, okay, then we're gonna have to see what happens. Okay, we're gonna have to see what happens, because if it gets back below here, then think about it, that's a deviation of this high here then. So that then becomes, you know, danger sign. At that point, where the stop's resting, well, we've got this as a target here, so that would be a separate range like I've shown you guys. I'm making a mess right now, aren't I? As a separate range. Okay, so within here, fucking I made a right fucking mess of this. There we go. Okay, let's do this again. We've got this here. Okay, and we've got this here. This is how I just play my level to level plays. That's all I do for my level to level plays. Okay, so all I do is, if I'm not sure, I just play it range level to range level. This is my range, and I'll show you example of Ethereum. Look at Ethereum chart I posted on Twitter, and look what Ethereum's done now. And this simplifies directional to me. You don't need direction then. Yes, I know it's bullish, but you can be bullish, but how the fuck are you going to get on board? That's where people get confused, right? So all I know is, I don't need to worry about anything else other than, if it comes back below here, that's my objective and I'm done. Okay? I'll worry about what happens if it deviates range lows and gets back above. Then I'll play back towards range highs. That's it. Okay? That's all I'm doing. If it comes back below here, well, that's a break of range lows. But I gotta remember, this is not bearish. This is just coming down towards range lows. The next range level, well, resistance, support. Well, you can call this support as well. SR. And that's my target then. Done. After that, what happens then? Well, we're in danger mode if you come back below here. So if you come back below here, well, what happened the last time you come back below here? Push lower, right? So what would the objective then? This is just me really oversimplifying here, but that's what I do. That's honestly what I do. Look at the chart support. This is what I do. Objective is going to be, we're going to be dealing within this range. If it comes back below here, on the way there, we've got this is the key SR level, target, target, and that's it. So that's going to be my trigger plan there. And then we'll see. I mean, this doesn't look quite bad, to be honest with you. Sell model. But yeah, does that make sense? And that's it. So as you can see, I'm not really bullish or bearish when I talk on Twitter. I play level to level only. Sometimes I have a clear directional view, okay? When everything lines up and it's going to be hardcore risk off. But other than that, that's what I do, okay? We've left Ethereum long enough. Let's quickly do Ethereum and then I'll bring makers on. So Ethereum, these are the same levels from last stream. Exact same range levels, okay? What were the range levels we're looking at? Here. And then here. And that's it. Now this is into a key resistance right now. And if you remember from the last stream, what was my triggers? Well, you should all remember if you were watching, okay? Once you clear, so here, key SR. Once you reclaim back above here, so here, the same exact thing like I've shown. I'm actually giving away all my strategy. Well, I mean, I don't get. Somebody's asking me, what if you give? It doesn't make a difference if you give strategy. Execution is all that matters. Okay, execution. It's not strategy. Anybody can learn a strategy. It's like all about execution, and even that same strategy is knowing when to use it and when not to use it. Okay, I'm just answering a question somebody asked. Why is my shift fucking button not working? Okay, there. So this is our deviation area from a key level. Okay. And once you go back above here, I mean something simple as that would have been enough. Where's the target there? That was, go back to my Twitter, you'll see that there. And then take some profits out. This is when I tweeted on flat. If you remember, I tweeted on flat here. I wait, and at this point I'm thinking, okay, there's no reason why we can't pull back towards here. Okay. We got this SR level, deviate, get back above, and I play it back towards range highs again. It didn't give me that. It gave me trend continuation. If it gives me trend continuation, then that's my trigger, invalidation, the swing low that took it above, target done. And I'm more or less done with that. I still said I'm going to go below 30k. No, it was a fucking joke. Read between. Mate, you need to get a sense of humor. If I'm saying I'm going bullish, right, and I'm pissing about with bear memes saying 30k, which one are you going to say seriously? That 1 hour plan I've marked out in a live session with you guys, or the silly little tweet I'm doing? I mean, when I think it's going to go below 30k is if it gets below 39.7k. If it gets below 39.7k, then I think it's going to go lower. Till then, I'm bullish, okay? If it means unfollow me on Twitter, unfollow me on Twitter, because I will just carry on bear posting just to take the piss, because I can. And don't like it, fuck off. Now, Let's carry on now. What's the next plan for Ethereum? Megas, I'm gonna bring you on soon. Okay, 5 minutes and I'm done with this and I'll bring you on. No, strategies don't get affected like that. Maybe little ARB strategies and stuff like that, but stuff like this doesn't. Now, this is gonna be tricky, okay? Yes, I'm from Brum. Where's gonna be key resistance here? Is it gonna be here? Which is, okay? Or is it gonna be here? Okay, now I want to remind you guys, now I'm not bearish. This does look solid, but I am gonna be ready for this, okay? I'll give you an example of where we've seen this before. Okay, so where it's gonna go to? All I know is if it clears this level, that's my objective. That's all I know. For now, this is resistance for me, and I'm flat. If it nukes one, if it rallies one candle up there and hits target, that's done. Don't care. Okay. Now, let's remind ourselves. Where did I see this before? You gotta be careful. This is not something new. Okay, it happens every time. The only time it's new to you is when you're long. That's when it looks new to you. But if you go back to your hindsight charts, I'll give you an example of a fractal. If what I'm saying, if the dollar does push up, I'm not saying the dollar has to affect crypto. Okay, but be realistic about it. It's just a factor of confluence that I'm going to be paying attention to. If we get back below here, that was a deviation, right? This was a nice consolidation. Up above there, we're mooning, boom, you get fucked. Okay, then months and months and months of consolidation before we're lower. Same here again. I'm in the lower time frame, you can see it. And then I'm not saying it is going to happen. All I can say is level to level. So, keep that in mind. Now, at what point would this plan, would I say to that? Well, what's our range lows? Our range lows, just doing the clean chart, is here. Very, very nice clean low. That's our range lows. Not saying it is going to come. I'm good. Let me fix this chart. But be prepared. So let's mark out the worst case scenario. Get the bad news out the way with. Okay, because you're itching for me to get the bad news out the way with, aren't you? Let's do that. Put your mind at rest. This is resistance. More or less call this range highs. Okay. Now, within that is this level here as well. Now, this is the bigger range. Okay, no one can deny that. That is a range. Within that, we've got this. And we've got this here. Now, it could be the case where if we do deviate, right? I only showed you the past because just give you an example. I don't look at fractals on its own. Just to see what it looks like. At the end of the day, when you're looking at a chart, what are you looking at? You're looking at candlesticks, aren't you? You're looking at repetitive pattern behaviors. So there's no difference to this. Fractals work if you know how to use them and when to use them. They don't work when you try overlay onto everything. I'm not overlaying it. I'm just showing an example of what I mean by now. An illustration of my point. That's what I'm doing. I'm not saying it is going to do that. Now, if you got back below here, that would be a shorting opportunity playing this range, and the target would have to be here. Why? Because we could easily do something like this. So that tells me that all I need to do is worry about from there towards there, and that's it. Probably take a bounce. There's a key level. If it was to get back below here, then that would probably be nuke. I don't think I'll stop there. I think it'll go down to about 1400s then. 1500, 1400, maybe lower. We'll worry about that then. But those are the two ranges I'm playing. Is that clear? Get the bearish scenario out the way with. Yep. Is that clear? Okay. So if it was to come back below here, then that would be my trigger, target 1. And then maybe a little bounce. If it nuked, okay, that's fine. But that would be my main objective. Take out these stops. And possible long scenario would be, okay, if we took out these lows, deviate these lows, consolidate for maybe a couple of days. I think that could, and then play along there, back towards there. Range back and down, up and down. And that's it. Yes, I know. Is that clear? That's it. And then the secondary scenario would be if you come back below here, break below and hold below, then I go for my trigger. Okay, and that's it. Level to level again. Now let's draw in our levels again. Oopsie daisy. And then I should be done. And then we'll bring makers on. So we can even break this down smaller down as well. How far this go? I mean, it's gonna be tricky right now again. It is. I mean, I've got a level here. Around about, I'd say, let's go back historically. Okay, I'm gonna go down to this chart. It's just difficult to chart it here. I mean, I think if it just, oh, fuck your mom. There we go. We're gonna be looking at this level here. I'm got my iron here. 3380. No, that's one level there. Sorry, my apologies. There's one level there, and the other level here is going to be the base of this. Okay. So what we're dealing with, as you can see, when you clear this level, this was sort of a range here, wasn't it? So this is going to be a big resistance for me now, 3240s. So what I'll be looking for is possible short-term plays, time with Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin gives me the short setup I mentioned, ideal scenario for a long would be is if it follows the Bitcoin plan, okay, where if it came here, scenario one, and similarly we're going to get that with Bitcoin, isn't it? So it's sort of similar structure, and then reclaim back above that key level and held. That's going to be my long scenario, level to level target 1. And then I'll see what happens. Yeah, I mean, if it starts to break down, then I'll cut it. I'll see if it can consolidate within this range. And if it can consolidate within this range, play the breakout above that again. And that will be my long scenario to 3450s. Okay? Is that clear? Now, if the danger part is, remember this range? If it did do something like that, now Bitcoin gets back below, same exact pattern as Bitcoin, then that would be a shorting opportunity for me, and I'll play towards this consolidation here. Okay, and then level to level again. That's the key level. If you want to clean break below here, from there towards there, and that's it. And then exact same thing I showed on Bitcoin, I'll be doing on Ethereum. But this is a key level here. Yeah, this is a key level. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Everybody clear with Ethereum? So I don't have a clear, at this current plan I'm going to say it's going to go towards here. I don't know. But what I can do is play a level to level upwards. And that's where I feel comfortable. Okay, Megas, you want to jump in? Let me DM him. And that's about it. And he's going to talk about market profile. I hope that made sense. I know I took a bit of time on it, but when I don't have a clear directional view, then I don't stress myself out. I'll just play intraday level to levels and that's it. And as you can see, we don't need a key higher time frame bias or anything like that. We just know, oh, he's here. Hi, mate. Can you hear me?
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up? Let me make sure that these guys can hear you. Can everybody, could you put your mic up a bit? This is my mic, I don't know. Try.
Normally, I'm told my mic is really loud.
Okay, let's ask the audience because I've got my headphones on, so maybe it's a bit different, and I'm going to make you presenter as well. Can everybody hear Megas? Okay. Can everybody confirm? I'm going to give you my presenter, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Let's see if these guys can confirm. Can everybody confirm if you can hear Megas?
Looks like they can, yeah.
I don't know, I can't see in the chat unless my chat's frozen. Yep, okay, excellent. So everybody, this is Trader Megas. He's a boss when it comes to this order flow market profile stuff. So I thought we had Jim on before. We had Adam Arbe trade on, and we'll get this legend on. I was gonna get him on September, but I thought, you know what, let's get him on quick. So I'm bringing in some more profile traders in. You guys like that stuff, and yep, follow him on Twitter. His handles in there. Carry on, lad. You take the show.
Cool. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the offer. Yeah. So for people that are familiar, I would say to my style of trading, it's really similar to Abe's. That definitely focusing on much more the intraday stuff, and you know, you don't really have to be as smart and you know, read the narratives of the market and stuff if you could just get in and get out every day. And that's not to say that I don't narrative swing trade, but I haven't been as successful with that as I have with just hopping in and hopping out all day. So yeah, I guess I get the what I'll talk about with you guys is the profile stuff. So this is what a standard profile is going to look like. Each one of these blocks represents the day's distribution. So it's showing you where price spent the most time at. So the distinction is that there's two ways to use profile. There's the time-based profile and the volume-based. And I use both, but what we're looking at here is based off of time. So each one of the blocks is going to be printed based off of whether price moves up or down within that time frame. And it ultimately what it shows us is the distribution where price is acknowledging that it's fair value. So on a day like yesterday, where it's a balanced day, where it looks like a bell curve, if you were to go Google a bell curve, this is where this is the day type where the buyers and sellers are in the most in agreement, and the day prior to it as well, right? So you can look at it like this, that after you have a trend day and you have these neutral days following, it's the market's trying to decide whether or not this is a fair place for us to trade around or not. And you're either going to get acceptance, where you're going to get multiple neutral days and you're accepting price, or you're going to get a trend day going the opposite way, where you're saying that's too expensive. Ultimately, like how I'm trading it is the same exact way that SZ explains price action to you guys. I'm just using a slightly different tool to get like my levels and my bias, but the principles are pretty much the same. So yeah, what I would do to make a lot of my trade thesis is that I would share with the public. It's coming from a weekly TPO. So this is the same type of chart, but instead of them being day distributions, they're the entire weeks. And this is pretty great for getting a higher time frame bias. So what we're looking at here is we can see the entire distribution that Bitcoin went through following that big sell-off that we had in May. And we can see that we built a distribution from 35 to maybe 39 or 40. That was our first distribution that we traded around. Following that, we made another distribution, which was using the previous range low as the range high, and it basically flipped. So I had a pretty bearish bias going into this, because this, from a value shift perspective, it's showing that that the buyers were pretty absent. And I guess that what we can gather from that is that no buyers were interested in messing around inside the range at all. They pretty much only were willing to bid 30K. So we got that, and now we're getting a pretty unexpected move, I'd say, for most people. I was a little late to shift bias on it, because it's kind of unexpected that normally when you get a value build up and then a value build up below it, that you're going to normally see continuation. But in this instance, now we are currently building. We have 2 weeks value built more or less within the previous one. So yeah, this is pretty bullish. And when you factor in how strong the spot bid is, I heard you earlier saying that you're not going to blindly short this at all. And yeah, I would tend to agree with that, that stepping in front of any major legs up on this, you're going to get people trapped, most definitely. So yeah, I guess the point of this tool, right, is not to make a trade setup. I get asked about that a lot, like, what are your trade setups from profile? And it's really more so just telling me where I should focus on looking at, right? So I get my level, where my support and where my resistance is, and then I go and look at the order flow when we get to that level to see what the interaction is like, to decide whether or not I want to punt a trade. So yeah, these are the profiles that I'm going to use. I think, did Adam went over footprint last time, so I'm not going to go over footprint at all. But basically, I'm incorporating that same type of strategy that he's showing you, where you're looking for when buyers and sellers get caught off sides, and then you use these levels that you get from the profile to decide whether or not it's worth taking the punt or not. Yeah, I mean, so here's my footprint, and these are all screenshots, because I use a different computer that I actually trade on than the one that I do all my social stuff on. And that's by design. I don't have like a mic and all my social media set up on the other computer, so when I'm trading, I can't really be distracted. I won't see when a Discord message or a Twitter message comes through, which I would kind of recommend to people that are newer. It could be a pretty bad thing when you're getting messages from your friends and stuff and you're trying to trade. But anyways, yeah, so Adam already went over the footprint. This is a core element of how I'm deciding when to take risk and when I'm not. Yeah, I guess I'll just talk about random stuff with the profile. Like, a big thing I want to address is that how people handle the anomalies in price. So everybody at this point is probably familiar with our singles, our tails and our poor highs and poor lows. And I just want to caution people to not really like factor that too much into your trade thesis, especially not when we're in an environment like right now where there's like one side of the trading is dominating the other. So you don't really like it from a standard profile argument. You're going to see a single that's 2,000 points below current price, and you're going to say, I want to get long there. But you have to factor in that the spot bid's so strong that you're just never going to get these fills. So like a common one right here on the screen that we see is that we have a composite that overlaps with singles, and a lot of people probably want to long that. And I would argue that nobody will get to long it for that exact reason, that we'll just front run it. So yeah, I hope that's helpful.
Definitely.
I see a question about footprint. So I mean, the basics of the footprint is, so I use delta. I think what Abe showed you guys was bid ask. So standard is to show the sells on the left and the rights, or the buys on the right, the rights on the right, I said. What I use is delta, so it just shows the difference between the two. And it just makes it so that there's a little bit less numbers that I have to read. The downside to that is you can't see the imbalances, so you can't see the zeros that get printed, but I don't really trade off that anyways, so it doesn't really matter for me. But essentially what you're gathering from the print is just where people are stepping off sides. So I mean, this isn't the best example, but you know, you could this isn't the chart I would use either. This isn't a time-based chart. I would use a much lower tick chart to identify the traps. But you know, this probably you know, there probably was traps that were taking place within these levels, but I don't have a footprint set up to actually zoom in and show them because I wasn't planning on doing that. But essentially what you would see is like you have a support level, right? You know, wherever. Imagine, I think I can just do this, right? Can I just draw over the top and it shows, hopefully?
Should be good. You customize the color
Okay,
or
yeah,
something.
so imagine, you know, you have a level right here, and that you had drawn that level because of the profile. And what you're looking for is you want to see people like this guy that step in and buy into that level and don't have any you know, continuation. Because as soon as, the way that a trap works is, as soon as somebody aggressively buys into a passive ask, they and price is able to get back below them, they're instantly trapped. I get asked about that a lot. Like, how do you identify when somebody's trapped? As soon as the prices, it goes against them, they're trapped. And the bigger they are, the more they can sustain, you know, they can weather that pain. But smaller, you know, higher leverage traders can't withstand that pain at all. So with that, I'll tie in the profile. You know, I use a delta profile, so it's just like volume, but it's showing the difference between the buying and selling. And that is one of the most effective ways to identify where people are trapped, because the profile is based off of the day. So it's just printing the delta for the day. So you can see that, right, we have trapped buyers up here into these highs, because you can see that the aggregate is something like 7 million positive delta into the high. So somebody got trapped here. And that's what you would look for. And, you know, you're looking to see somebody get trapped, and you want to take it back to the mean. And if you think you can take it to the opposite side of the range, you do. But that's one more discretionary.
Quick question, mate. So when you look for those traps, right?
Yeah.
It's similar to like a deviation. I call it a deviation, where it, you know, breaks a level, and then you see those trap buys, and then once it gets back below the level, is that when you go for the trigger? At what point would you say you go for the trigger?
Yeah, so I was gonna bring that up because I heard you talking about which I thought was a great point, that like you theoretically think you could just tell everybody your system, but how they execute your system is the hardest part. So I'm a scale trader, so I'm going to start building position before I know I'm right, and then I'm going to add to the position once I see that confidence. So the way, so your way of viewing it through the deviation is like basically the same way. I'm just using different wording, but you wait for that price to get to the point where it's deviated, and I'll normally start to fill into that, because you can see what I would be looking for, right? It's obvious that these guys get trapped once price is below them.
Yeah.
But you can see that the passive bid is not really giving up in real time. You can see that. So people are buying in, but they're, you know, it's like, think about it like you're measuring effort. So like in this one candle, we can see that there was 10 million positive delta into it, and they didn't really make any progress. In reality, it ended up being a wick, because this is the body of the candle was one tick. So the entire candle was a wick. So you're basically recognizing that there's all this effort coming in, and we're not really moving price anymore. And I'll start to fill into that. And how I didn't really make this public until more recently, but essentially what I do is that like these kind of like traps are what I would consider to be intraday trades. So they're normally going to take hours to play out. This isn't a good example because this one played out in 30 minutes, but a lot of the times these things, will take price will grind up or down, in your favor and not really go your favor quickly. And I like to tell people that it's easier said than done, but once you get that higher time frame signal, right? So we're into resistance and we identify the trap and we maybe have a couple other things that are going to strengthen our bias here. I'm scalping directionally the whole way through. So even though I might be short the entire time, I constantly try to take off. Every time we leg down, I try to take off, and every time we leg up, I try to add back. The whole way through. So one trade for me, it's like one intraday trade would be like, would take maybe 3 hours to play out, but I'm going to take, if things are volatile and it's good conditions, I can take triple digit trades on the way of playing out that larger trade thesis.
Yeah. There's a question coming in. Do you had a DM? Do you teach this stuff? Because I bought about 2-3 people on. I bought Jim on, and I bought Adam. I think Adam has some teachings material, or like a proper course.
Yeah, so Adam has a lot of good free stuff, which I would definitely recommend everyone do the free stuff because we like free. But he does have a paid course as well, which I'm sure is quality. I've never taken his course or anything or seen it, so I don't actually know. But yeah, I guess you gave me the good segue to show myself. So
yes, go ahead.
I've been working for a very long time now on like pulling together my own, way of teaching this stuff. And originally I was going to go purely with not really teaching the order flow stuff as much and just teaching people how to build their own systems. But then, you go around social media and stuff, and there's clearly a lot of interest in learning the order flow. So what I ended up doing was putting it on the back burner and adding to it a lot. So now at this point, basically and I don't have a hard date for when anything is going to come live for the viewers, but just basically, it'll be unavoidable on Twitter whenever the date does get announced. I mean, I'll be tweeting about it a lot, and I'm sure some friends will be retweeting it. What I'm going to announce now is that there's going to be a whole section on how to build your own system. So that's going to be introducing a lot of tools and talking about how they can be used and trying to help people identify their niche, so where they should belong in the market. And there's going to be a section on, so now that you know your tool set and your niche, how do you derive bias and form setups around it? And then a section on the risk with it, and then how to like test and adjust. So there's going to be basically an entire walkthrough from I don't have a system at all to how to have a system.
See, this is a good...
And it's not going to be it's not going to be I made the system with Magus and I'm done now. But it's a great starting point for them to where they can, because I don't know about you, but my system is constantly evolving, where I'm always trying to make it more and more simple and try to cut things out of it. I'm sure you're the same way. Yeah, 100%. So I'm not going to tell anybody that I'm going to give them the end all be all system, but I definitely think if they go through that it'll help them a lot with getting the right direction.
I'll give an example of as to how I use it. I'm going to move your chart for a second. So for example's sake, when I get asked about deviations, right, I actually use that stuff a bit myself. I'm not an expert at it, but I know enough. So if I'm looking for my deviation here, I'll actually start looking at the footprint chart. When I start getting the breakdown, okay, I'll use that as confluence, if whether I want to take it or not. Shut up, man, you blood clot. Carry on, mate. The little idiot in the chat. Yeah, carry on. Sorry. Wait, mate.
So you're saying that you wait for, like, if you want to short, you wait for the sellers to step in.
I look at it as well. Yeah, but I'm not expert. I don't talk about 100%. It because I'm not expert at it, but I know enough.
Yeah, well, that's the smart way to do it, actually. I do the aggressive style where I start building before I know I'm right. And that's why I scale, because when I'm wrong, I'm not full sized normally, so the losses don't hurt as bad. but waiting for the break, and then the they call, it's commonly referred to as the throwback,
Yeah.
so, or the bearish retest, whatever. That's the best time to enter.
Yes,
100%.
I mean, the only time I get in
It's
early, like you
highest
said.
probability.
Sorry. The only time I get in early, like you said, is say if I've got a clear invalidation, and the closer it is, I'll start
Right.
scaling it slowly. But other than that, in a situation like this, I ain't got the balls to start shorting it blind. But yeah, that's just me.
And I'm kind of crazy. I do normally kind of start shorting it blind before I know I'm right. But the thing is that, like, I keep it the risk is so tight that, and I don't really wait to get invalidated before I close positions out, because I pay attention to the flow. So it's really more so if I don't feel something's right, I'll just puke it. And yeah, so I've said that before on a couple streams now. I don't really like, if I'm long at $5 and I know that I'm wrong at 3.5, I'm not waiting till 3.5 to close the position. I know you do the same thing. You have your hard invalidation level where you know you're wrong, but I get out way before that as a scalper.
Yep. Excellent.
So just to do the last bullet points of what the course was going to go over, it's because, it's going to have all the systemization stuff, but then what I decided to add in how I actually trade, because I didn't want to just leave that out. So I'm going to have all the profile stuff, how to form bias and gather context from the profile and what the logic is, and then all the order flow stuff. And then this will probably be the thing that people are least excited about until they actually see it. But I'm going to go over all the execution and risk stuff that I do, which is going to be the most, that's going to be the biggest deal for people that want to learn from me, definitely, because I'm going to show people how I scale in and out of my scalps. And I don't think that anybody ever really talks about that. And I've been really carefully figuring out how I'm going to word it, because there's so much edge with discretionary traders with how they choose to buy and sell on that. We could take the same trade, but how we choose to get in and get out could be completely different. So yeah, I'm excited to teach that, just because I know that there hasn't been really any content for that, and people intentionally stray away from teaching that stuff because it's a hard concept to go over. And all I'm going to do is just try to explain things from the lens of how I see things, and ultimately people will have to make, tweaks and stuff themselves. But yeah, so that should be, I think we'll have an official announcement by the beginning of next month, and then maybe live, another month from that. So about 2 months is my, or maybe like 7 weeks would be my estimation for when I'm live.
I look forward to it. So I think we're reaching the end of our limit. Thank you very much, Megas, for coming on. Everybody, give him a follow. Show him some appreciation on Twitter. Thanks to our sponsor, Delta Exchange, for making this happen. Use the link in the description to show them some support. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to bring on Sting KR Trades. Is his handle? He's another profile trader as well, but we may be talking about some NFT stuff as well. We'll see. I gotta talk to him what he's going to talk about. But he's definitely a top dog, and this is I've known him for years. He definitely knows what he's doing. He's a prop trader as well. And yep, hope you enjoyed it. Like the video, share it, subscribe to the channel. Catch you next week. Bye bye.